Welcome folks, my name is Tom Beatty. I'm the chair of the Web Design and Development program at Newmont College of Computer Science, and today we're going to do some JavaScript programming. Okay folks, today we're going to look at if statements, which are a type of conditional statement. I have already set up a folder that I titled if, and I have created an index.html and a script.js. The index.html is just the standard one we've been using. If you are not sure how to do this, look at one of the earlier videos. And then I've got an empty script.js, which I am loading the HTML right now inside the browser. I've got nothing in it, so nothing really shows. I'm opening up my console, hitting F12, and let's go ahead and code something up. So first, I'm going to create some new variables. We'll create a equals 5. And then let's let b equal 4. So I got a couple of variables here. I've declared and defined them. And let's do something with those. I'm going to add an if statement here. If a equals 5, and I'm using a double equals here. That is logical equals. If I'd used a single equals, it would give me an error because a single equals is used for defining variables. Double equals is for testing. And this if statement, the way it works is it's going to test if a equals 5, if this expression is true. And if it is true, then it's going to run whatever I've got between these curly braces. And so I'm going to say console.log a is equal to 5. Put a semicolon there. We don't actually put a semicolon at the end of our if statement in the curly braces. It's just not part of the syntax. So anyway, here it is. It's going to test to see if a equals 5. If it does, it's going to output to the console a is equal to 5. I've saved it. Well, I haven't yet, but Control S to save. Let's refresh. A is equal to 5. Now, if I were to change the value of a to 4, save that, a is no longer equal to 5. When I refresh, it's not actually going to output anything there. But let's change it back to 5 so it works again. Huzzah! All right, let's do more with this. Now, I can actually do, let's say, well, I'm just going to retype this. We'll do a few if statements here. If a plus b equals 9, console.log a plus b equals 9. Save that, refresh, and that too is a true statement. Let's get a little more complex. I could say if a equals 5, and then I do a logical AND. That's 2 ampersands. And b equals 4. Console.log this is true. And so what it's doing here is it's testing to see if a equals 5 and b equals 4. And a actually does equal 5, b does actually equal 4, and so this is a true statement. It will run what's within the curly braces here. And you can have multiple commands within the curly braces. I'm just putting one here just to show you that this works. So this is true. So that's a true statement. If either one of these is false, then the whole expression is false because we've got this logical AND here. So if I were to change this to say 7, save that, refresh, it doesn't say this is true because this expression is no longer true. So let's fix that so it works again. That's working. Let's come on back here, and I'm going to say if a equals 5, or, and I use the pipes here is what they're called in programming, and I use a double pipe. This is a logical or b equals 4. Console.log, this is also true. And I run that, and that works, of course. But if I do what I did up here, and I change this to 7, you'll notice it still works. And the reason is because we're using an or. And so if either of these conditions is true, then the whole expression is true. Now, I could also say if a is not equal to 4, console.log, this is true as well. So when I put, when I put a exclamation point with equals, that's saying not equals. Now, you saw that I had an extra equals there. That actually will still work. We'll talk about that a little bit later. That deals with the triple equals and such, but I'll address that a little bit later in the video. So anyway, so not equals, a does not equal 4. It doesn't because it equals 5. So this is also a true statement. And so it will run what's in the curly braces. So let's try some other things. Actually, let's do this. If a is greater than 3 and a is less than or equal to 8. That too is going to be a true statement because since a is 5, that's greater than 3, and it's less than or equal to 8. So anything 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 will make this condition true. And since a equals 5, this is a true statement. So console.log, a is in this range. Save it. Sure enough. Okay, so we've seen a lot of different if statements just using numbers. You could also compare with strings if you wanted to. You would have to make sure the values are in quotes. I think let's also look at Booleans because those get a little interesting. So let C equal true, and maybe let D equal false. So we've got C, we've got D. Now, since C is already true, C by itself is a true expression. So I could just say if C, and that's going to result as true. So I can console.log, this is true. And sure enough, it is. If I were to do the same thing with D, D is false. So if D, console.log, how about this? And you will see nothing comes up because D is false. So this doesn't work. Now, I could go ahead, just like I did a not equals, I could say if not D, if not false, then let's try that. That would make it true, and sure enough, there it works. Okay, so a lot of cool things there. Let me also really quickly talk about the triple equals. The triple equals is a more strict version of equals. This is pretty much unique to JavaScript. I haven't seen any other language that uses this, but you'll see it in JavaScript. It's very common. So let me use the strict equals here. I'm going to say, well, first let me do this. If C equals 1, console.log, this is very true. And if I run this, you'll see that works. And the reason it works is because C is true. It's a Boolean, which when that's converted to a number, it's still valid as a 1. So true is always equal to 1. False is always equal to 0 when using this double equals. And I can show you that too. D equals 0. This is also reading as true. If I were to change C to 0, that would no longer be true. But in the world of Booleans, typically true equals 1, false equals 0. And so these are both considered true expressions until I add the triple equals. When I add the triple equals, you'll notice both of those statements go away. We don't have either of those console logs showing up. And the reason is because the triple equals is a strict equals. Not only do you have to match the values, but you also have to match the type. And so since C is a Boolean and 1 is a number, these are no longer equal to each other because they may match values, but they don't match types. If I wanted this to work, I would have to use the same types. If C triple equals true, if D triple equals false. And sure enough, those now both work. Okay, so that's the if statement. There are other conditionals. We'll talk in the future about switch case statements. But for now, play around with those, see what you can do. All right, if you like this video, please hit subscribe. Subscribe to my channel. I will provide more content in the future and keep it entertaining for you. Thanks a lot.